You know, when you go to class, most teachers are going to say kick up in the handstand. That's really, if you're not a handstand, if you don't have a handstand practice and you throw yourself against the wall into a handstand, what are the chances that your whole body is going to be aligned perfectly? And you know, so this is what you see in class a lot. Painful. Oh, golly. I mean, it's just, it just makes me go. So, but that's, people think they have to just they just think they have to just throw themselves up there. It's just, it's horrifying. So, in the first place, if you're going to kick up at the wall, you don't want to be so far away from the wall that you have to arch your back to get your feet there. So, you know, if I'm here, how am I ever going to find my alignment? I mean, it's so hard to pull yourself away from the wall. I mean, that's just, why would you teach yourself that? Now, you can, from here, come here and find your alignment. I do teach this sometimes for people who are just desperate to be at this position. And then you can just take that leg up and you're balancing. But they don't ever want to take that opposite leg off the foot. Like the comfort. In my class when I teach, if you can kick up into handstand, then I want you to start really close to the wall. And when you come up, you float. And you find the wall, right? So I'm not having to have a big arch in my back here. The wall's right here. But you know, for some reason, people don't want to be this close to the wall. They feel like they're not going to be able, they feel like there's not enough room for their butt or something. So then from here, it doesn't take much to come off the wall to balance. Now look at my hands. Uh-huh. So that's how you balance. Right?
All in the claw.
All in the claw.
I didn't know that. I thought I knew it was in your hands, but I thought you were trying to keep your knuckles depressed.
Not that middle
one.
one.
In general.
Not the middle one, because it doesn't really, if you think about it, you can't really get it down well enough to use it. And you have so much more
in your pads.
going on in the pads and
Yeah.
then in the base knuckles
Cool.
that you really kind of
Yeah.
claw. All right, so who wants to be lifted up? This is a nice assist for y'all to know how to do. So have your hands close to the wall. You go next to, yeah. And go into down dog. Good. Now, go into down dog split. Good. Now, I'm going to come and help her up. Now, Anna, you're not going to kick. You're going to press into my shoulder. And people always say, oh, arch. So I'm going to go into this kind of warrior one stance here. And I've got her shin, and I'm holding her leg here. She's going to keep this leg nice and strong. And then press down into me and lift the other one. Oh, look at that. Oh. Your hands are actually a little close. All right, and then down. Good. Good. Anybody else? So you want to go into down dog split first. You don't want to be, it's kind of like standing behind a horse. And they'll try to kick too. So you want to make sure that they know not to kick because you can get your head knocked off. All right, so here, and then press into me. Yes, more. There you go. Nice. You got a little arch in your back. Bring your rib cage in. Yeah. Now squeeze my hand with your legs and flex your feet. Squeeze my
It's back.
fist.
Squeeze.
Well done. You got it? Nice. So, squeezing the fist makes people activate their legs. You can also put a block in between their legs to, but again, make sure it's foam. All right, so any questions about any of that? All right, partner up and play with that lift a little bit, okay? 5 minutes.
All right.
I'm moving my mouth.
Okay.
Okay.
You go first. How are you doing? How are you doing? You want ready for me to be putting on?
Do you want me to do you?
I mean, sure. Just be ready to like.
Okay, y'all got 3 over here.
Alright.
Somebody combine, y'all take it.
Okay, I know you will. I know you
Okay.
I'm on your mat. Are you okay with this?
will. Okay.
Lego.
Even though.
Good.
I'm just saying, are you okay with me?
Yeah, totally.
No.
Some
people
do
do
it.
People do get weird.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna do
Okay,
like.
bring one.
Okay. One.
Rib cage in.
Okay, push it in.
And then go ahead and let her down.
Alright,
Yeah.
Yay.
So if you can,
Here with the wall
and lift the other leg. There you go. And then when she lifts the other leg, walk her up.
Okay.
Go, 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 go. Yeah.
Just lay on
You're holding it.
Kevin, get a little lower for her so she can get real shin on your, and use that other arm underneath.
Oh, you do this all the time.
Right, now walk her up.
Take your ribs.
I'm
Yeah.
positive.
Good.
You want to flex your legs?
I'm not ready.
Okay, go for it, girl. Flex your feet. Yeah.
Yeah, good, Bracken. So y'all see how Bracken's standing here? So as she feels Anna lift her leg, then Bracken's gonna walk up. There, good.
Awesome.
It's a really easy assist.
Pretty.
That's a, and, yeah. You're really
Now,
not really.
you wanna move to the side. After
Right,
lift
you wanna
somebody
do
up,
I was actually
get them up there and you wanna move to the side. If you wanna help them down, you can kind of reach behind them and do what's called seat belts on their hips. But you don't wanna stand,
Exactly.
you don't wanna stand here and you don't wanna hold their legs. If they wanna go down, you need to let them go. Okay, so and then even if you're doing the fist squeeze, you do it off to the side so you can get that sucker out of there if they're coming down. They don't wanna get kicked.
When they're coming down, what if you're sensing that there's gonna be a problem? What's the best way to help a person down? Do you, like you said, that seatbelt, do you put your hands on the hips? Do you provide a seat belt so they can fold over? What do you do?
You want a demo of that? Yeah. That's the question.
Yeah, I'm ready.
That's right.
I told you I'm ready to take it. That's what you're, I'm gonna need to help out.
Our hands are a little too far
Yeah,
apart.
And they're pretty close to
Okay,
the
come down.
wall.
Come down and bring your hands back together a little bit.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Now try it again. Yeah. Oh, you're just floating up there now. All right, so I'm over here.
My husband would be so proud.
So then you reach behind, you hold at the head. See how nice that was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, Mary.
I've tried. She keeps saying the same thing.
Got a bucking horse over there?
Come on. Sneak your fingertips a little further away from the wall than, yeah, perfect. Okay. Down dog, yeah? Which leg are you lifting?
I don't care.
All right, now press into me. Yes, 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 yes.
Yay!
Rib cage in, belly in, yeah?
Awesome.
Beautiful.
On down, come on. So, yeah, this is, if not my most favorite, one of my most favorite poses. And in New York, I got this grandma up into the handstand in the middle of this acro yoga. thing, she was so funny and she was so sweet, and she screamed and cried.
Aw.
It's really
Grace is a horse whisperer.
I just think there's so much fear surrounding this pose, and it's really, once you understand that you're really just using your bones and activating your core muscles and your leg muscles. I mean, she's a swimmer, she's playing strong. Okay, any questions?
It's all about getting up into it. Once you realize, like the door jam, when you told us the door jam, I was like, oh, dude,
Yeah.
okay, great, we can do that.
Door jam's a great way to body pattern and kind of, it's like a mental thing. You start feeling like, okay, I can hold myself up in this pose. This is doable. This is a doable thing. All right, so let's go to forearm. All right, so let me make sure. We did L-shaped, we did the door jam, we did the assist, and we did the kick up. Yeah, we did everything. All right, so that's kind of going to be the pattern here for the day. We'll talk about assists, we'll talk about L-shape, and we'll talk about kicking up. So forearm balance. So everybody come back to your mat. There are 2 setups for forearm balance. Does everybody have a block?
Are we gonna have
Oh, yeah. Here, use one. I have used both of them.
All right, just so.
More like you got more.
Everybody's got, okay. Does Anna
I'll get it later if I need it.
have? She now has 2. Throwing blocks at you. All right, so forearm balance. The biggest thing with forearm balance is losing your elbows wider than your shoulders. So just like in handstand, if your elbows, you remember we did the forearm balance, right? Plank, forearm plank. So looking at me, and I'm just gonna interlace for headstand. If I'm way out here, I am having to muscle a lot of this. So what happens in forearm balance is, because of the rotation of the shoulders, this is what wants to happen with the elbows. But you've got to make sure that those elbows stay underneath the shoulders so that you don't have to add that muscle to it. And you give yourself more of a base, right? So this is going to be more of a base for headstand and forearm balance than that, right? Okay, so there are 2 rules of thought here. My shoulders are a little bit on the tighter side. So I do forearm balance with my thumb knuckles touching. That's because I can still keep my hands fully supported into the earth and I don't lose my elbows wide that way. Now, a lot of people do forearm balance parallel like this. And you can take the block and hold it like this, right? So I want all of you to get your block. Come into all fours position. Curl your toes under and lift your sits bones up and back. Now, same thing as downward facing dog. You want to move your chest towards your thighs. Bend your knees if you need to.
Are you intentionally not on your phone?
Yeah.
All right. All right, go ahead and come down. So, Ann,
Yes.
there you go.
We
Try
try
again.
that again. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because your hands are planted.
Right.
And your thumbs are keeping your hands sealed on the ground pretty much.
Right, right. So you don't want to take, you can play around, there are all sorts of ways you can play around with forearm balance. But essentially, when you're starting to learn or you're teaching, you want to teach the palms down. So what we're gonna do is, some of you are gonna have to lose the block and come here for the shoulder rotation. I can tell by the shoulders already on some of you. You not so much. Your shoulders are pretty open, aren't they? They are if you say I don't know. They've never been a problem. All right, so let's play with let's do L shaped, and that's really gonna tell us who needs what setup. All right, so same setup as handstand, but you're now gonna put, instead of your hands going where your ankles are, your elbows are gonna go there, right? So you mark the spot with your hand, come forward, and then your elbows come here, all right? Start with the block. And see, oh, feels awful. This feels much better to me. See if you can't come up into L shape. Now again, you don't have to straighten the legs. Just find it here. It's a hard rotation on the shoulders, so play around with it. If it feels horrendous with the block, come down, take the block off to the side, and slide the knuckles together.
Should we all sit up at the wall with our mat since we're doing this today?
You know, if you don't mind using one another's mats, you can slide the mats lengthwise and instead of, you know. And you do need a mat. You'll want a mat for this one because you want a little bit of support underneath your shoulders. Good, Haley. Rib cage in, yeah.
Really far away.
Good. Good, Mary. Is that killing your shoulders?
No, but it is kind of, it's weird.
Try it without the block and the thumb knuckles together. And see if that helps you be able to rotate a little bit. LJ, walk your feet down the wall, pull your rib cage in, and then send your chest toward the wall.
much better.
No, yeah, block is it.
Yeah.
May I try it without?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't even know.
It's entirely what your shoulders allow for, right? Anna, you may want a little bit of support underneath your.
Do you need that?
Yeah. I mean, it's just gonna hurt because you're gonna have your bones.
What are the shoulders?
Not even this.
Yeah, that would hurt.
It's hard to lose my chest. I feel like I'm having a hard time getting my chest towards my legs.
I started with my, wherever I
But
was.
also, I don't either.
Pincha is. So you're a little far away from the wall. So
I am.
Come down and slide your elbows a little bit closer to the wall, just a hair. Yeah. And then try that. So for our balance, Pinchamariyasana is a back bend. So that's better. Because that looks good. Yeah? All right.
Do I?
Now, has everybody figured out whether they're happier with or without the block? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You're a little far from the wall. Slide your elbows towards the wall. Yeah.
Just done 50
And,
butterflies.
and same thing, Anna. Feel your chest moving toward the wall as you go up. Same thing as in handstand. Yes. Yes.
I don't like the block.
Okay.
Face.
Yeah. As you know, there are teachers who insist that you have your arms parallel. But the reason they're insisting on that is that they think that it's going to keep you from losing your elbows. Why? But if you say to them, but I'm keeping my elbows under my shoulders, they should say, oh, step off. And this variation is taught by Dharma Mitra in New York. Okay, yes. A little bit more chest to the wall. Yeah. And he is, you know, he's the inversion king of the yoga world. So
Is his
he
name
says
really
it's
Dharma?
okay. Dharma
Is his
Mitra.
name really Dharma? Well, like we were talking about the other day, people changing their names. Like,
His name is Sri Dharma Mitra, yeah. I mean, he's
not Tom Jones. Well, that's what Ram Dass did. He was like, you know, Frank Billings.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Right.
There's an episode of Sex and the City and their yoga instructor's name is Siddhartha.
Yeah. No. Dharma Mitra was Dharma Mitra. He's Sri Dharma Mitra, yeah. He started, he was one of the first yoga studios to open in Manhattan way back in the late 60s, I think. He's like 75 years old and he still does. He does headstands without hands. He's got kind of a flat hand. He's so funny. All right, so.
Why are shoulders tight?
You know, this is an awkward position for your shoulders. There isn't much that you do in life that asks for that rotation. But in yoga, if you think about it, anytime you're trying to hold your toe behind you, this rotation happens in yoga. And it's not a fun one for your shoulders, especially if you play tennis or, you know, it's just a hard rotation on your shoulders. So it can be something that you can work up to. You know, doing forearm down dog, you know, and just working here, you'll slowly start to open the shoulders. But, you know, if you're like me, it never feels fabulous. And I just assumed that I would never be able to do Panchamarayasana because my shoulders were tight from years of tennis and this kind of forward rotation of dance, that I couldn't really do that. But just that little bit of, just a couple of inches that it takes to move your hands in provides enough rotation in the shoulder socket that you can do, I can do the pose. So, you know, everybody's different. And you can work up to doing it with the block and at the wall. And it's a doable thing. All right, so that's L-shaped, and that's definitely the hardest. It's always the hardest. L-shape's always the hardest in any inversion, but it's the best to get your alignment correct, unfortunately. So if you can get into L-shape, then you should be able to safely kick up and find that body pattern. Okay, so to kick up into Pincha, you have to be a little further away from the wall. Your gaze, your drishti in Pincha is normally your thumbs. So you're lifting your head, and it brings a what? What does it do to your back? Mm-hmm. So it's the non-Sanskrit name is, I think it's peacock. Sit. Yeah, maybe it's peacock. Yeah. So it's like there's a slight arch, like a floating feather, like a floating peacock feather.
I think it's feather peacock.
Feather peacock? Well. All right, so if you do Pincha at the wall, you're gonna give yourself about anywhere from probably about a foot away from the wall. You're gonna walk that. The idea is that you try to get your hips as far over the shoulders as possible. You don't want to try to kick from here, right? I mean, it's just that, it's just would throw the whole body into a snit. All right, so from here, you find the wall behind you. Now, with the support of the wall, you can really lift up, take the chest forward, and then take the gaze toward the thumbs. And you see that the feet, your arch, counterbalances you, right? So it's because you're literally balancing on your main point of contact is your elbows. So, and then you've got your hands this way so that the toes go over your fingertips to kind of work that counterbalance. Now, as you practice this pose, if you start rocking this pose, you can do it straight up and down and drop your head. But that takes years of work, and you really have to know where your midline is, and you can take the back bend of it.
Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I saw somebody do it in your class one day too.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are lots of fun things that you can do. You can move from headstand into pincha and lift up. There are lots of fun things that you can do with these inversions. But I'm just going to kind of learn the basics of the poses.
To me, scorpion's easier because you're not having to work so much on the legs.
Right, but it can be really hard on your lower back because of being inverted like that and really engaging the core. You're asking things to work in a position that they're really not used to working in, and so as the legs drop back, a lot of people really collapse in that lower back.
What is scorpion?
You just, what she did, but you just bend your legs,
Go
fold
into
your
lower
legs
back.
in.
Oh, okay.
But it takes some rotation. You have to rotate in the shoulders, and the head comes even further forward. And it almost looks like you come away from the alignment of the shoulders.
So would you say that the farther down your feet are going, the farther forward you're
Mhm.
looking?
Mhm.
Okay, so you.
Absolutely. You're kind of you start kind of pivoting on your shoulders.
That's my problem. My neck always seems to not be aligned properly, and then I get
There's a lot of it's a very similar feel to Ustrasana or camel pose that Kate's gonna be teaching on this afternoon. There's a Aren't you prepared? There's a play between dropping the tailbone, lifting the pubic bone, engaging the belly to keep it out of your lower back. Same play when you're working with scorpion. And you can do scorpion or inverted back bend in handstand. You can do it in pincha too. But it's pretty advanced, and I don't feel like we're gonna really full on teach that today.
Why is if somebody was in scorpion and their back was collapsed, why would that be so different? I understand you don't want to just let it collapse, but than having the arch in the back in whatever the was you did.
Ustrasana?
No, the
Camel?
other shoulder thing. I mean, forearm thing. You just did it. I can't remember.
Feather peacock.
Feather peacock?
Maybe, yeah. Well, the one where it was, you said it was slight back bend because you bent your head back.
All right. So let me.
Kind of thing, is that what you're talking
I
about?
don't know how warm
How
that
she was
might be.
balancing up her.
It's not in the
balancing
lumbar.
her-
In scorpion, the curve happens in the lumbar, and you're holding your pelvis, your legs, and everything. It just kind of drops behind you, and you're active in your core only. That's why it's so hard on the lumbar. With the one she just did, it's mostly, you know, curved
Most
in the-
people in Ustrasana
Okay.
drop right here,
I
and they
see.
crunch their lumbar, and they hate it.
Right.
I would too if I did it like
Okay.
this, because I'm totally like, there's no
Okay.
space here. Same thing when you're upside down
I
and
see.
working in Scorpion.
Yeah.
You can crunch there, but it just feels awful. Let's see if I'm.
And you wouldn't want any one part of the
I
back
can,
to take the
you
whole
may do it.
At Scorpion?
thing.
I can get it for you.
Yeah. Go ahead. You're too close.
Too close?
Well, try.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
See how his head, he has to bring his head forward and he's pivoting on his shoulders. So as his toes drop toward his head, and you can see how it might move all into his lower back here, but he's got to have the play of engaging his belly, lengthening his lower back, and then pivoting more. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
So that also happens in handstand. You can move, you pivot on the shoulders and you move your chest forward and the legs drop back for handstand scorpion. All right, so let's play with pincha. Now, if you discovered that you're not going to use the block, you know, choose whichever way you're going to try it. I mean, if your shoulders are open enough to do it parallel, do it parallel. You can use the block or not. And I want you to come to the wall, about a foot away from the wall, and then I want you to play with walking your feet up and lifting a leg. All right? And then you can do the same assist here as you did for handstand. You can come along and lift that person. But if you cannot keep your head off of the ground when you lift a leg, then you're not ready to go up. All right? So let's try.
What?
When you lift your leg off the ground in a split and your head goes onto the ground,
Okay.
you're not ready to go up.
Are some people gonna have shorter upper arms though, where their head may touch the ground, they might need a block or
Well,
something?
that's, no, I mean, the thing about this pose is that you're supposed to lift your head
I could just.
because your gaze is your thumbs.
Okay, so that would get your head up.
You take, well, take your time and see how you do with that, and then,
So
if you're ready, just say
look
something.
forward, look at your thumbs, and that'll keep your head off the ground if you're having trouble with that.
So you go ahead and put your head back.
See how she's moving?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Do
well,
this.
if I was
So
you,
then your legs, canvas is not your feet towards your feet.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go right here, I think.
Yeah, and take your
Is that
head
yours?
toward the middle of it. Yeah, nice. Now look at it.
it's just a,
Nice, yeah. Good.
Here.
me too, well, I have a hard time even just,
Any of this.
All right, so don't kick. Just lift a leg. Don't kick just yet. If you feel like you can have your partner assist you up,
That feels a lot better.
I'm gonna assist you, all right?
For
All
some
right,
reason,
okay.
it's like-
So press into me and lift the other leg. Yes.
we should try my shoulders.
Make some carrots or something.
Lift your gaze towards your. Yes, nice, and really press down through your
Is this close
forearms.
enough, you think?
Yes,
You're
good.
Yeah.
Nice. Smile when you're ready.
My shoulders.
Have you ever done that before? Look at you go. Look at you go.
Do you need
Nice.
assist or y'all buddies?
Did I approach my hands? Huh?
It's, you know,
What'd you say?
another thing that you can do to work towards opening the shoulders is.
Don't let me go, but I like how it feels.
Yeah.
I like how it feels when I put my
Okay, what's your
You're
head?
supposed to be looking down, remember? Can you look
So
down?
this is a good stretch, and the one that we did on the floor, and,
Yeah, that would have to be.
you
Yeah.
can
Let me know
do
when.
it on blocks as well. So,
Ready?
this is the same rotation here.
Right. Yeah, when you're going
So
down.
much
Okay,
better.
okay.
That would be a good one to
So
allow.
that's what
If you're-
we're gonna do.
Don't do that at home.
You're there.
Yeah, so take your knees wide.
That's why whenever we do inversions, I do
Yeah.
whatever
Did you
inversion.
feel like- Yeah.
We're on inversion.
So do y'all see what Anne's doing here? This is a great way to start opening your shoulders for this pose. You can do that at the wall as well. You can do here at the wall. And we're going to dropping here. But, you know, this is not a pose that you need to feel like you have. It's one that you can work toward, and if you've got the skills to know how to get up, then great. But it's not taught very much in classes. I teach it probably once a month maybe. So, but the reason why it's not taught so much is because there are not a lot of people who can do it. So you don't want to throw something at your students often that you know that they get frustrated over, right? Okay. Haley, you got up, didn't you?
Yeah.
Good. All right, so questions, comments?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Cookie there.
It's so pretty.
I'm going to your
It's so
doctor.
pretty.
Yeah.
Haley's wrist.
All right, so any questions? No? All right, let's take a little break. Good timing. Take a little break, and then we'll come back and head toward headstand.
Haley, the same doctor that did your surgery, was he the same one that
We're gonna
had the
work on headstand.
conversation? Upper arm's really like shorter than my head. Okay. Cause I'm like, well, maybe I just don't have that, no, they're just shorter. Okay.
By about an inch and a half.
Yeah, like a lot. I looked in the mirror and I was like, why? No wonder I feel like I break my neck every time.
Oh, no, I wear glasses.
Well,
There's no way.
did you get into form balance?
Does your mom pull your hair all the time?
If you wanted to,
Oh, my God.
if you didn't want to get yourself all set up for
You're just
health,
lucky I'm not your mom. 'Cause I do that hair all the time.
You got my brothers. My brother had the same
I mean, yeah, he's just so sweet.
But that's
I just-
what
oh, you're so
in
lucky. I
class.
chew like pull your hair.
You had to stand up your head off the ground.
And that was like,
Unless you're going to try to, and it wasn't long period of time, then
I
you
think
should get
sixth grade.
But,
After
and
I
there's tiny
Motion.
motion, you have
That's what
stands
there's
without
like,
the
your
head
head
on the
very small
ground.
motion.
Because they have
Just
to
stop
stop
it.
issues.
I'll love it all.
So,
Well, even
it's not, it's
Okay,
horrific.
baby, yeah.
just don't be one of those on men that's falling up here.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Just the big
Problems with all the computer and cell phone use, yes, and texting.
Mine flared up a lot when I was like up on this.
Feels like it's